Hi, I'm Lindsay. Welcome to Finding Temperance. I am a tarot reader, lover, collector. I'm tarot obsessed. I love everything tarot. I have 12 decks here. I have more in the mail. So I'm really excited to be able to start a channel and a community where I can connect with like-minded people. Okay, I want to dive deeper into tarot. I want to do readings, but I don't want to only do readings. I want to be able to discuss decks, what we love about them, maybe what we don't love about them. I want to discuss readings, interpretations, things that come up when you're reading tarot. I want to discuss stalker cards, anything that comes up. I just think this would be a great place to do it, and I'm excited to connect in this way. I figured the best way to start and introduce myself is to maybe share the decks that I do have and what I love about them. I would love to hear about the decks that you have as well and what you love about them. Maybe you have some of the same decks that I do and you have something extra you want to share, or maybe you have different decks, and I would love to hear about those because I'm always looking for something new. Whatever it is, please share down below in the comments. I want to engage with you. I want to build this community. So let's get it started. My first deck that I got two decks, but the first one we're gonna go over is Modern Witch. Okay. This deck is based on Rider-Waite imagery, but as the title says, it's really modern. It's by Sterle. Especially just starting out, I loved and really was drawn to the modern imagery. Okay, so like for example, here we have the Hermit card, and instead of having her lantern, she's closing her computer, right? So it's this modern take on sort of removing yourself from the world for a little bit, and it's just so easy to connect to, and all of the cards in the deck are like that, and that's what I love about it. The next deck, which is the second deck that I bought it with Modern Witch, is Mystic Mondays by Duong. I was really drawn to the silver and the holograph effects, and if that's what you call them. That just really pulled me in, along with like the backs of the cards, and there's silver foil on the edges there. Let me see. So it's a beautiful experience using the cards, shuffling the cards, creating spreads with the cards. It just feels very nice. So that's one reason why I love it. But as time has gone on, the main reason why I love it is that it breaks away from the typical imagery. Okay, it's a lot brighter, there's a lot more color to it, and it's a little bit more abstract. The reason I love that is because it kind of allows my mind to wander. It allows me to go in and listen to myself a bit, and it brings out these different concepts that maybe I wouldn't be so quick to think about with a more strictly Rider-Waite based deck. So for example, here we have the Tower, and you have the Lightning, but the Tower here is like this optical illusion, which speaks to the illusion that comes with the tower that we put ourselves in, right? The facade that we put up, the walls that we build. So I love that it plays into that, and I also it gave me an opportunity to learn about colors and their associations and what meaning that could also bring into the card. So that's why I love Mystic Mondays. A lot of fun. Next, I got the Neo Rider by Feng. She has a shop on Etsy. It's the Wheel of Fortune tarot. Okay, if you want to look it up. This is a Rider-Waite based deck. Okay, What I was really drawn to when I bought it in the images was the shininess of it. I wasn't crazy about the colors in the classic Rider-Waite. I wasn't drawn to it. It hadn't called to me. So when I saw this deck, and I was actually drawn to the beauty of these cards, okay, here we go. I took that opportunity to jump at it so that I could start to introduce myself more to these, to the actual Rider-Waite images, okay? This deck, very beautiful, very slippery when you're using it, very bendy, easy to shuffle here, okay? Because it's like foil, but I love it. It's a beautiful deck. That's what I love about it. And just being drawn to something a little bit different. Next, I did actually, eventually get the classic Rider-Waite deck because I was finally feeling ready to dive into the classic original images from Rider-Waite. I was ready to start taking the interpretations that I have and the interpretations that I had read about. I was ready to take that and start applying it to these images and start really working with them. So, I mean, not much to say there aside from it's a Rider-Waite and it's a classic. So it's kind of like a gotta have it kind of thing if you're collecting tarot cards. The next deck that I absolutely fell in love with is New Moon Tarot. Okay, it's an indie deck. Okay, by Mélina Lamoureux. Sorry, excuse me, Mélina Lamoureux. Beautiful deck. I saw this online. I was immediately drawn to some of the images on it. It's just my style. I'm an artist also, and the artsy take on these cards, you can see that. The artsy take on them just really pulled me in. But with that being said, what I really loved about these cards was the different take on the images, on a lot of the images here. So I'm going to show you two examples with the Devil and the Tower. When we look at this Devil, especially at the time I was really into learning about Lilith, this card got me to think about the ways in which we may see the devil as a misconception, maybe the ways we've been programmed to look into this card, that it doesn't always have to take this negative vices pattern, right? That there's a story to the other side of things, kind of like Maleficent, right? Or Cruella de Vil, those movies that came out that took the villain's story and made something of it, and it helped you understand a little bit better. But also another great example is this Tower card, right? And instead of this like massive destruction, you have this lighthouse sort of shining the way through a dark night, which gives you something else to think about when you're reading these cards. And there's a lot of examples like this that I just think are beautiful and awesome and bring a fresh look onto my readings. I have an oracle deck that I love. I have a few oracle decks, but my first oracle deck that I got was the Roots and Wings oracle deck. I lost the box. Okay, it's called Roots and Wings. It's a beautiful deck. What drew me to it at first was the watercolors. Like I said, I'm an artist, and I was just really pulled into the images and the use of the watercolor. As I used the deck, what I learned to love about it was the images and how you can sort of like let your mind sort of dig deep into what the meaning could be, right? So here we have the mystery card, and it's the tree with roots, but it's in a boat floating on water, right? So depending on the context of the reading, that's something really interesting that could happen. I loved the healer card. Whoops. I love the healer card. I love the idea of the snake moving out of its skin, the transformation, leaving old skin behind. So yes, Roots and Wings Oracle deck. That's a great one. It was my first Oracle deck. Another Oracle deck that I have is the Isis Oracle. Okay, and I kept the booklet out because what I love about it is actually in the booklet. When I first got this deck, I wasn't super into it, and I didn't start using it right away. The cards are they're big. They're very big cards. Okay, that's the back of them. What I love about the deck is that in the booklet, the description of each card comes with a ritual and an incantation to help you along and further your process, whatever it is that you're working on. I focus a lot on self-healing, and this, I usually just pull one card at a time and focus on the rituals and incantations that are given here. And you know, she gives Alana Fairchild, she gives the backstories behind the cards, and then like I said, a ritual and an incantation there. And so when reading these cards, I just kind of focus on the one. But I love the progress and healing that this deck can bring. Okay. Another beautiful, beautiful deck that I have is the Arcana Iris Sacra by Tina Gong. This is from Labyrinthos. Okay. This deck, the box is just really cool, really beautiful. But the deck itself is gorgeous. I had downloaded the app and was using these cards digitally before actually buying them. And I'm really happy that I did kind of like, you know, make the choice to do it. We have the gold foil here. They're a thinner deck in term, like the width is thinner. Okay, they shuffle very easily. The take on these, they're still a little strong. They're not as flimsy as like the Neo Rider, but the take on these cards, I'm not sure, and maybe you could help enlighten me and teach me something here. I'm not sure if it's more Marseilles or Thoth, but a lot of the images here are they're not all Rider Waite, typical Rider Waite, which is exactly why I love them, aside from them being beautiful. So for example, what would be the strength card in a Rider Waite, we have here is this Lust card. And again, like before, like with the New Moon deck, it brings this idea of looking at the card in a different way. Okay, so like instead of having this strong inner strength that we can tame, this card is about loving our passions, living in our passions, and letting that out, sort of like roaring loudly about who we are. And I love that take. And then one more example is like this. Here's the Hermit card, and it just shows, you know, the person here going within. It shows the transformation, the third eye, the overcoming mountains and obstacles, and I love the different take on it. Very, very similar to the same reason why I love the New Moon. The most recent deck that I got, another indie deck, is Guardian of the Night by MJ Cullinane. Oh my, it's such a beautiful deck. Very easy to shuffle. The descriptions are Rider Waite base, but the cards themselves, she uses animals. And what I love about that is she gets into the interpretations with these stories of what meanings the animals actually bring in, and what their patterns would be, what they would represent, which has been really beautiful and fun to read. And so like here we have the Three of Cups, right? And raccoons are very like family oriented. They roll in teams, they look out for each other, they share with each other. It's just, I love the idea of bringing the animals as representations of the cards. And additionally, this was the first image that I saw. I love that the way that the images are made, it kind of looks like a collage. Okay, I thought they were more collage based. When I got the cards, I realized they weren't, but they're still just, they're very beautiful and breathtaking. So, Guardian of the Night by M.J. Cullinane. Next, I have Tarot of the Divine by Yoshitani. This is just an amazing deck. It comes with its guidebook, but there's another book that goes along with it that I'll explain in a minute. The reason why I absolutely love this deck is that each card is based on like folklore or a folk tale from different cultures around the world. So not only do you have the traditional meanings that are coming into the cards from Rider-Waite, but you also can bring in this element from these folk tales and stories that have been told for centuries, right? And that just adds such a great element to it. So for example, the Tower card, this one represents the story of Rapunzel, and it helps add the details and the context of within her castle and her tower. That's all she ever knew, that it was all this big facade and it had to come down at some point. So just the folk tales and folk stories definitely add to the interpretations, on top of the fact that the cards are very vibrant and beautiful to look at. So that's why I love Tarot of the Divine. The next deck that I have here is another deck that I'm gonna also share the book with. These are medicine cards, okay? Jamie Sams and David Carson, okay? These cards it's an oracle deck, and they are based on just animals and what animals, the messages that they bring to us, right? Their meaning in this world, the belief systems and folk tales that come along with these animals, okay? In indigenous communities, in the beginning of the guidebook, the author explains that there was a real effort made here to incorporate meanings more holistically, with the intention of being able to share them. And of course, if you have your own interpretations, or if an animal represents something different to you, they encourage you to take that and use that as well. So this is an example of one of the cards, right? It's just the circle with the image of the animal on it. Now, what I love about this deck is very similar to what I love about the Isis Oracle deck. I usually pull one card, and then I use the book to read about the animal, read about the story of it, and take the suggestions that are given in the book, okay? Now, it's quite a bit of reading, which is also why I usually just use one card at a time, and then I take some time with it and meditate with this and really contemplate what I am being taught by this animal. Again, like with the Isis Oracle, a lot of like deep healing happening there. I have one deck left, which I was hesitant to share because I'm not crazy about it, but I have it. I want to share it, and I can speak to I guess what I like about it. This deck here actually has like it's a derogatory name there, and I was drawn to the deck because super cheap. It was like $10, and when I saw it, I thought, ooh, a Lenormand deck. I really want to learn Lenormand. So I took the deck, only to find out that it mimics Lenormand, but it's not actually true to Lenormand, which I'm not going to go all the way down that road. What I like about it is that I use this as a yes-no deck. Okay, so, you know, with tarot, it's hard to really do the yes-no responses, but with this deck, you take like and you could do this, it doesn't have to be with this deck, it could be with regular playing cards. You take the extra card, okay, or the wild card, and you shuffle it into the deck, right? And then you count out your responses, right? So you just keep going 1, 2, 3 until you get to the wild card. And if the wild card falls on an even number, it's a yes. If it falls on an odd number, it's a not likely. So that's something that's really, I guess, that I like to use so that it's quick to get a yes or no response, a yes or no answer to. The deck that I have is in Spanish, so it's also a fun way for me to learn and practice my Spanish. Aside from that, I'm not crazy about it. I'm not happy I bought it. I've recently purchased some true Lenormand decks that I am excited to work with. But yeah, those are my decks. We went through all 12. Let me know if you have any of the same, if you like them, if you don't like them, why you like them, love them, don't like them, love them. And if you have anything different that you would like to share, that's great. I look forward to being able to engage with you and talk with you, and I look forward to what this community will become. See you next time.